response video to a video by Fred. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like this much, so I'll play
You're part of that evolutionary
bit.
system, which is a swarm. Let's say, if you're one of a swarm, and when you mature, you will be part of the reproductive mechanism for the production of the next swarm. If you're within that system, then you know that evolution kind of knows, it's kind of designed you with the knowledge that you're going to die, or you might likely die before you reproduce. You know, there would be no.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you're saying that just doesn't fit. I mean, first, you know, a lot of these swarm insects, you know, a lot of the insects have, they can't reproduce. They're not part. Their intention is not. They're no longer. They're like a leg of the whole organism, which is the colony. This is the swarm, and they're just a functional part. Now his argument was basically, well, let's play.
Need for evolution to build into you, or your parent, or your children, or your siblings, any of those mechanisms of care. You know, things like love for one's children. That would not be. It wouldn't be viable in a swarm situation.
Again, you know, there's examples of animals we know who do feel, who are in a similar position. I mean, you know, seals are a good example, just because, well, it's one I know of. You know, a small percentage of the males are never going to be parents. They're never going to be able to procreate. You know, because the alphas will dominate, and there's lots of other animals living in that situation. And their behavior changes because of it, because, you know, I guess partly they still, you know, they're personally motivated. They still have a personal interest life in terms of they're capable of feeling and all that stuff. They don't lose the capacity to feel simply because they've become irrelevant genetically, except as maybe being shark food, you know, or some sort of defense mechanism, part of the gang, to preserve the genetics that's related to them but isn't them. But I mean, so well, basically Fred's just arguing that there's no need to feel to accomplish these tasks, and it really has to do with how complex the task is. There's no reason for a kamikaze to feel, all right? I mean, you know, it's just he's got a really simple mission, you know. But the fact is, the passion helps sometimes. Sometimes it's really good to have somebody passionately interested in, you know, pulling out the aggressors or the adversaries' eyeballs. But there's lots of examples. I mean, even these, you know, the cats, I'll go to that just because I live with it all the time. I mean, they're not dumb animals. They really aren't. But they are too stupid to figure out, well, there's no real point in me fighting that other male. I mean, I'll gain nothing. There's not even a female that's fertile around here anyway. They can't even figure it out. That's just a waste of their time to rip each other's flesh off. But they keep doing it. I mean, they don't learn. Even though they're capable of learning, they don't learn that because they are motivated by a passion. And the passion is so rudimentary that you could almost call the passion itself a reflex. So again, we're back to this argument of what a feeling is and where does it become necessary in evolution. I mean, what animals can't function with it and which ones can't function without it kind of argument. And I'm still going to go back to the learning thing. And I guess I would augment the conversation by saying, I mean, the feeling thing seems like, yes, you could have a reflex. You could just be a mechanical organism. Say all you have is knee-jerk style reflexes. You don't feel anything. You just reflexively react. So the sun comes up, you move your left arm, you do this, you do that, you do this little thing. You meet a female, you spin around circles, roll on your back because a hormone, you know, incites the reproducing behavior, and you do your little dance, whatever the thing is. So we know there's behaviors that can be reflexive in nature. So an organism can have some complexity to their behavior, and that complexity can be completely pre-wired from the day they were hatched, so to speak. And there's no need for them to be at all creative or innovative or to modify it or to change it or do anything. They can completely function with that. And so, yeah, you would argue, okay, there's no need to feel, because all you need is the mechanical knee jerk. All you need is the They don't need to feel like running. All they need is something that stimulates the move your leg thing, and it just happens. They don't even, what do they have to do with it? Nothing. They don't have to learn how to walk. They don't have to learn how to do anything. So yes, sentience doesn't seem to be something that's necessary, but it is necessary if they're going to do any learning, in my opinion. That you're going to need sentience. And again, so I'll go back to that original example. So say you just have these reflexes and you don't have a sensation. What does sensation provide? I mean, I've sort of argued that that's sort of the game of sensation is that you have this reflexive network, and then the brain developed a way to create another sense, another input, without creating a physical, tangible input. It creates an input, this thing called a feeling, a sensation, a desire, a motivator, and that of a feeling, of a sense of, and that is something that reflexive thing could react to, as if it was a real stimulus, as if it was a real image or a real feeling or a real hormone or a real something. And I guess I would argue that's sort of like a feedback thing, and that was the origins of sensation, was just bending what was coming in and just perverting it and feeding it back in again a little bit different, and that there would be that could create enhancement, because now there was almost a second chance to react to something, or maybe there was some other advantage like that, where instead of it having only that one chance to see it and react to it, it got a second chance or a third chance or a fourth chance, because it was another reflex that would be creating this perception, this sense that could be reacted to like any other sense, like feeling, like touching, like heat, except it wasn't heat. So it was like the feeling was the artificial creation of a sense. So I mean, as soon as you say heat, you're in trouble, because that's something you have to feel. That's a feeling sense. I mean, that's not something that's not something reflexive, because it has that gradient, that analog to it, where it gets hot and hotter, hottest. And so, in a primitive organism, it would have to be either all on or all off. And I guess that's sort of the argument here, is that something changed to make it not so digital. So there wasn't an automatic like the knee jerk. So instead of having a knee jerk, you could have a half a knee jerk, or a quarter jerk, or a third of a jerk, or it could be moderated, it could be and blended. I think again the other argument would be is that you could have two competing motivators, and there could be some processing of the circumstance to decide what motivation was more important, fear or hunger, kind of a thing. Let's see how else to play with this. But that gets complicated. So, as soon as you start to try to figure out, I mean, do bugs eat even when they're full? I mean, is it just a reflexive thing? Or do they actually have some sort of motivator like hunger? I mean, I guess what I'm arguing for is that we're going to have to be a little more careful in how, we analyze that, just because it's, you got to take the whole range of behavior and then figure out whether there's the potentiality for the capacity to be driven by a desire. I mean, because the driving part is sort of important here. The motivational, the motivation is an important part of projecting something into the world. I mean, if you just rely on reflexes, its movement's going to get kind of sloppy. It's going to be like a lizard or something. It's going to be kind of weird, herky-jerky kind of, all or nothing. And, life for anything living in a more complicated environment, an environment that requires a little more than that from you to compete successfully. Yeah, it's going to be kind of fail to be that kind of that crudely reflexive. So anyway, but yeah, I just don't think the argument, I don't think the swarm nature indicates one way or the other, because there's plenty of organisms that we know are sentient that exist in that kind of environment, and they're not fundamentally different. They're just playing a different role. I guess I'd almost argue too that the queen of the ant colony, like in the Aliens movie, the queen is made out to be the real brain, like she's the brain of the hive. And I think in the real insect world, the queens are probably the most drony of them all. I mean, she's basically just a chemical hormone machine. I don't know if she regulates anything. She just sits there forever in one place and just gets maintained physically. And she produces hormones that dictate hive behavior, but I don't think she is actively participating in any way in dictating what's going to get done. She doesn't think about it, I don't think. So I think she might be the most owned of the whole hive. She might be the dumbest ant in the whole ant colony, because she doesn't have to do anything personally, where the soldiers sort of have to be good fighters, and maybe there's some capacity to learn how to fight well. Maybe they do learn. I don't know. So that's I mean, I have to concede. I don't know the research on that. I don't know how much ants are capable of learning. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're certainly able to learn, what's like right or left. If they get food or pain, you can definitely steer them into a certain kind of behavior based on past experience. So they're doing some learning. Whether they can, learn to be a good soldier, I don't know if that's possible. That'd be interesting to see if there is that, if they do learn from battle experience, if ants become better fighters through experience. Or like termites. I mean, they have these termites, they're just warrior termites. And they're just made to be killing machines. And they become more efficient at killing through experience. Interesting question. But anyway, yeah, this premise, I just don't think you can tie feeling to colony lifestyles, because I don't think it's going to dictate it. What's going to dictate whether you feel is whether you live a complicated life. I mean, the simpler the demands of your lifestyle, the less need there is for these motivating mechanisms. And that's what feeling's mostly about, is what it does in terms of creating incentives and motivators, I think. Yeah, I mean, it really is a repulsion attraction thing. I mean, that's the biggie. And the biggie is the comfortable, uncomfortable, and then we value comfortable or uncomfortable is in teaching you what works and what fails. So if you can't learn, feeling would be a waste of time, I think. Okay, anyway, yeah, so I didn't like that video much. Yeah.